My name is Sergio Peña, and this is my speech for calm, my hot topic slash debate. So it's gonna be why the Ford Mustang is better than the Corvette. Start off the credibility, the whole book of just Ford Mustangs, right? On the cover of that is a Mach 1. I really love those cars, S550s. They're amazing cars. Secondly, every generation in a Hot Wheel. First gen Fox Body S187 and the new GTD. Along with that, um, Dark Horse and an S550 RTR Spec 5FD. Um, so yeah, so begin with, I'm not skim over the generations, going generation by generation. So I'll start off with the first generation. To me, the first generation Mustang was way better than the Corvette because when you think of a muscle car, you don't think of a C1 Corvette. You think of that long hood, short rear end, like kind of boxy looking, and that's basically a silhouette of a Mustang. Honestly, if you think like old school muscle car, you think of anything but a Corvette, right? Next generation Mustang 2, honestly, is the ugly duckling of the lineage, but it does beat out the C2 Corvette, honestly. C2 Corvette's a really iconic car and stuff, but I just think Mustang slightly beats it, although they both are pretty bad. But moving on to the third generation, which in the Ford's case is the Fox body. This is like a lot of y'all dads probably had one of these, but Fox body Mustang, they're really cool cars, honestly. The engines are not really that well known and stuff, but I prefer, although I do really like the C3 Corvettes, honestly, one of my favorite generations. I do think Ford beats them out on that. So on to the next generation. We have the C5 Corvette and the S197. This to me is Ford's attempt at making a more modern muscle car. So they kept that whole boxy style, long hood, everything like that. The C5, it looks more like sleek, I guess you could say. Still a really good car. I've rode in one before. They make really good power. The LS1 is an amazing engine, but I feel like you just can't beat that 5-liter dual overhead cam engine. They have a really good volumetric efficiency. They push a lot of air. They make a lot of power and all that. Moving on to the next generation, that'll be the S550. Along with the C6 Corvette. I will say this one's a really tough one to do. I really love the Mustang. The S550s, but C6 you can't beat that ZR1. That ZR1 that supercharged. It's a crazy car, but to me, the S550 holds a special place in my heart. It's like my poster car. You get me? So yeah, moving on to that, C7 and C7, C8, along with the new S650s. These right here. C7, I really do like C7s. They're really nice cars. It's one of my dream cars to get a Z06, but there's not really nothing to compete with that. But C8, that's where I really have a big opinion. I do not like C8s. The mid-engine, all-wheel drive on most of them, not coming in a manual. It's all automatic. It just not for me. And before people are like, you're just a hater. I've seen a GTD in person, and I haven't seen a ZR1, but I've seen a ZR1X. I don't know if you can see that. If it doesn't come out good, I'll put pictures on the screen and stuff. So I've also seen a Z06. Okay, so to me, although they are really good cars and on the Nurburgring, that's their main whole thing, that the ZR1 beat the GTD on the Nurburgring. That's something it should have done. Mid-engine all-wheel drive. It should have beat the Mustang. The Mustang's still front engine, rear wheel drive, and all that. Although they do have a lot of newer technology, and on paper, the Corvette is better. But if we really take into account everything, I do still think the Mustang is better. Please feel free to disagree with me. Honestly, it would be really fun. So yeah, so that's my hot take slash debate. Thank you.